Hey crafty friends, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today we are going to go through the assembly of our Valentine Girl Gnome Candy Dome. I have all of my pieces here. They are cut out and they are lined up and they are ready for gluing. I will be using my art glitter glue for gluing my paper. I also have my hot glue gun off camera that I will be using when it's time to glue the dome. I also have some candy here that I will add to the inside of my dome. So let's just get started. I am getting my glue together here. As you can see, this one, she has a lot of different pieces to her. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of glue some of these smaller pieces here first. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue. I'm using my finger to get everything just in that spot, the correct spot there. And I'm going to line it up so I have an idea where first. I'm just going to come around here and add a little bit just to the edges and making sure I'm not going in the center, because that's where there's a hole right there, so the white shines through and just adds a little bit more dimension to the flower. So that's the flower. Now for her shoes, I'm going to do her shoes next because of these that small pieces to the laces. I'm going to hold it between my fingers, just add a bead of glue right there, and then put the black to her shoe down. And now for the laces, since they're just kind of small, I'm not even going to really try. I'm just going to add a little bit of an X. I know that I am not doing it in the right spot, but that's only because this is so fine that there it goes. Let me just get it. So it's just such a small piece of paper there. I know it's not going to be perfect, and it's okay if my glue comes out, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my paper towel here and just wipe away a little bit of the excess. The great thing about the art glitter glue is that it dries clear. If you're using a glue that does not dry clear, you're not going to want to do that. You're definitely going to want to try and get the glue on those pieces, on the right pieces. So I'm going to do the other shoe. Same steps. Let me just make sure I've got that in the right orientation there. Just a bead of glue right there across the bottom. I'm going to add the part to the shoe. And again, I'm just going to add a little bit right there to glue the laces down. And just kind of get it in that right spot. And then I'll use my paper towel just to kind of dab away any of that excess glue. And so you can see that I've got a lot of excess right there. Hopefully that's in the right spot. I can't really tell. But this one, it's already dried and it's all clear. So I'm going to put my shoes there. I'm going to move this heart one there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift up some of my pieces, and I'm going to work my way from the bottom up. And whoops, I almost bent that there. And so you can see that she's got two layers of this pink. One just has the square cut out and one has the heart. There's really two layers for this, just to kind of give a little bit extra support for her with her balloon and with her flowers here. Just to add a little bit of support and sturdiness, because this is a pretty heavy craft once you get the dome on and you add the candy in. And it's kind of big as well, and so you just want a little bit of extra support here. And so I'm going to hold it now, the bottom layer, between my fingers, and I'm going to take this layer and put it right on top and put it right between my fingers as well. And what you want to do is just allow your fingers to be your guide and get it into that position. So I'm going to do the leaves here, this part of the flowers that are coming off, because I want them to line up just right. So I'm going to do that before it dries. And then you can go ahead and just shift it if you need to, and then place everything right on top. And there it goes. And I'm going to do that now with this next layer and just add some glue right along the edges. I'm going to add it here to the leaf of her flower. I'm going to flip it over, use my fingers again just to get everything between my fingers and allow it to help me get everything in the right spot. And again, I'm coming to make sure that the flowers, the leaves here are just right. I'm doing that first because I don't want them to dry in the wrong spot. And because it's such a fine area too, that if it's off by just a little, you're really gonna tell right there. I'm a little bit off here at the bottom too, because I was so focused on that part. But it'll be okay, I'll make it work with this next layer here. And so again, just adding the glue, focusing here on my leaves, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on the bottom to start. So I'm holding it and just getting it into that position. There it goes. Okay. So there, that's much better. Now for her hair, the same thing as well. A little bit of glue, getting it on the leaves of her flower, and using my fingers again to get that alignment. It'll be a little bit harder because this one doesn't go all the way to the edge, but I'm going to focus here on my leaves and then just pressing it all down. And I think for this too, I'm going to do these first. So I'm going to do this top layer here, get my leaves there. There was more glue that just came out. Add a little bit right there. All right. And there. Okay. So that's that part. And so now this will be a little bit easier to add right on top. So I'm adding my glue to this back layer. Again, getting my leaves. And I'm going to hold it here. And there we go. Oh, something's a little off there. Not sure how I managed that. Oh, it's on this side. There we go. Oh, okay. All right. So that takes care of that. I'm going to add her nose in right here. Just a little bit of glue right there. Put it right on top. Same thing with her heart balloon, a little bit of glue to the back of the red here. And you can really have fun with this one by adding some really cool colors for her hat, for the back of her hat, that's front of her hat, the color of her balloon, her shoes, her dress. You can really have just a lot of fun with this one because there's lots of different ways for you to bring in the color here. So I'm just, I think this one goes on this side. I'm just adding her shoe, pushing it down. Then you do the other one, adding a little bit of glue to the back, and then putting it right there. They may seem like they overlap, but they shouldn't. Going to do her flower here. So just adding the glue again to the back and getting those leaves. And then just taking my time to get it right on top here. And then just using my fingers to layer everything just right on top of one another. And now for this last part of her hat. Just getting that placement, adding a little bit of glue now, right there, and putting it right there. And so that finishes her, and she's adorable, and she's super, super cute. Okay, so let's work on the mechanism now. So we've got 5 pieces to the mechanism. What we're going to do is take these 2 pieces that are exactly the same. We're going to layer them right on top of each other. This is going to be the slider part of the mechanism. And the reason why we have 2 is to add a little bit of support and sturdiness for when it's actually sliding inside the mechanism. So I'm just layering them right on top of each other. I'm going to take this square and this one. I'm going to place these right on top of each other here. And just kind of getting my position correct. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue along the area of the top square. What I want to make sure that I don't add the glue yet to the flaps. So I'm just pushing it there, getting it in that position. I'm going to add now a little bit of glue right here, and I'm going to fold these flaps right on top on both sides, and then just press them and hold them and give them a second to dry and to bond there. I have a little bit of glue in my fingers. And so now what I'm ready to do is I can take this centerpiece and put it right over that opening. I can take now this other piece and take the opening so that way the opening would go right over where the opening is. I just want to get it lined up so I can visualize it. And what I'm going to do is put those down, take this one, flip it over, and I'm going to glue only these 2 flaps to start. So I'm adding a little bit right there and right there. Well, I meant to add it to the other part, but that's okay. And I'm just using my finger to fold it right on itself. I'm going to do that to the opposite side as well. I added more glue than I needed. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe this away. And so I have these 2 now. I just glued these 2 flaps. I have these 2 in my hand. So I have 2 flaps on the other side and 2 flaps on this side. What I want is for those flaps to meet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and flip it over and place the flaps on top. So that way the flaps meet up with each other there. I'm going to line everything up and hold it tightly between your fingers, lift up the one side and add a little bit of glue on top of the flap and then glue it together. So glue those 2 flaps together and then do it to the other side as well. Lift it up, add a little bit of glue, and then press it and make it like a sandwich. And then just give it a second to make sure that they dry. What they're going to do now is they're going to act as a barrier when we're sliding the mechanism, so it doesn't just slide all the way out. So I'm going to put this right back where I want it to be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip everything over so I can see the bottom side here. Okay. And so I have all of these flaps. What I'm now going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue along here. I'm going to come in and use my fingernail and just kind of bend the paper and then press it and glue. You do not want to make sure that it's a completely tight seal. You want to allow for just a little bit of looseness there when you're making this bend and folding, because that will allow a little bit of wiggle room as the slider is moving in between the two pieces. So I'm just bending and folding. I'm going to come along and do that here at the bottom as well. And then again, just using my fingernail to bend and fold and press and hold. Bend, fold, press and hold. And just give the glue a chance to dry. Okay, and then we're going to come along on the third side right here and do the same thing. A little bit of glue, and then bend it, fold it, bend it, fold it, hold it too, bend, fold, hold. And if you have any excess glue, you can wipe it away, but it'll be all right. And so for the top part here where the slider is, we're going to fold these two down as well. So add a little bit of glue, and then again, bend and fold and hold. Bend, fold, and hold. Okay, and so what we will see now is we can slide the slider right in between the two pieces of cardstock. So we've got 3 layers. The slider is a movable layer. I shifted this one out just a little, there it goes. And so there it is. Okay, so now take your gnome, flip her over. You can see her hole there. Open up the slider so that way you can see the opening. And we're going to take it with all of these flaps, and that's what's going to fold down here, because you don't want it to be this way, because then you'll see all of the flap folding and it just won't look nice. So we're going to fold it this way. Line it up over the opening just to get your placement. Then take your glue and glue the back here. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to take it and press it down. So you don't want to kind of go this way and do it, because then it's going to open towards the bottom and it will kind of look funny. So you want to do it so it opens towards the upper part of her, or towards the top, so that way all of it will kind of stay hidden in the back and you won't see it. So again, just get your opening, line it up, and press it down. And then you can flip it over just to see how it looks on the other side, and it's fine. And then just make sure that it's secure. And then what you can do is you can just slide it to close it. And what I like to do is I like to bend mine a little, so that way I have a little bit more of leverage when I'm going to open and close it. That's a personal choice though, you don't have to. Okay, so now we're ready to glue the dome. So I have these clear domes that will fit right over into the opening. If you go to your $1.25 store, they also have these container domes that will fit as well, but they're red. And it's a personal choice if you want to use them. You'll get 8 in one container for $1.25, so it's a really good buy if you have them, if you can find them at your $1.25 store. But these will also fit right in the opening. So I will say that the opening is a little bit bigger than normal. It's not going to be that tight fit when you go to put it in there. And that's just to allow for a little bit of variation if you are going to be using these domes from your $1.25 store, because these are like just slightly bigger, but you can use both. They're interchangeable, and so it's personal choice as to what you want to use. I'm going to use my clear domes, but again, personal choice. Okay, so I have my dome here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to come around here and just add a little bit of glue to the edge of my dome. Doesn't need to be a lot, because if you add too much, then you're really going to see it when you put it down, but just enough to kind of coat it there, and then line it up over the opening and press it down. And there, that's it. If you have any glue kind of coming out, you can take it and just kind of push it down into the opening too. But it should be all right if you didn't use too much. And so just kind of press it, give it a chance to bond and adhere. And then what you can do is you flip her back over, get your candies, and then just add them inside through the opening. Now you do want to make sure that you're using individually wrapped candy, and the hearts actually don't hold as much as the circular domes, but they still will work. And so that's it. That finishes this cute little candy dome for Valentine's Day. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and happy crafting.